Hello, daughters of Utah Pioneers. We would like to welcome you to our training video for the 2020-21 DUP year. This training video will be focusing on some updates that we've made to our website and provide you some new information. We'll provide you some information about the reorganization of information on our website and some changes in reports. This video is focused to give just a real quick overview for both company officers and camp officers. We won't be able to go into great detail about each office as we sometimes do in our face-to-face training, but at least you'll be able to know some of the significant changes, and most importantly, you'll know where to access the information. Over the past few months, we've been working hard to create new information, update information, and make our website a little more functional. And we'll be going over that in just a few minutes. We've made some significant changes to the Home tab and the Leadership tab and the Forms tab, integrating what we used to call the President's Packet into the Leadership tab and have a separate tab for forms. And then we've moved a few things over to the Home tab. So we'll be describing some of those in just a few minutes. We're excited to share some of this new information and hope that it'll make a difference as you fulfill your responsibilities as camp and company officers. As you can see, our website hasn't changed too much, so you might be wondering, okay, what's the big deal? But I'm going to go first to our Leadership tab and show you where we've made some changes. In the past, we've had information that has been Xeroxed and passed on to your company presidents, or you've gone to what we've called the President's Packet on our website to find information for the current year. If you think about the Leadership tab and think about the word leadership, just think about everything I need to know to be a camp officer or a company officer should be found under this Leadership tab. And then many of us have forms accompanying some of our jobs, and you'll find those under the Forms tab. But let me do just a whirlwind tour of the Leadership tab and talk a little bit about some information that is here so that you'll know where to find information for the current year. And some of this information will be hopefully just ongoing information that will be useful for many years to come as you fulfill responsibilities or flip from one job to the next in Daughters Utah Pioneers. In Daughters Utah Pioneers, there's basically 4 areas that change significantly each year. One is their music. We have different music and songs that we sing each month. Our lessons change each year. Our parliamentarian quotes change, and our chaplain thoughts change. So let's just click on a couple here. The music will look very similar to what you've seen in the past. We have our songs listed and the page numbers and the books in which they can be found. If they aren't located in a book, you can click on to the song and be able to find the sheet music, and then you can print that off and have that ready to go for your camp meetings or other meetings that you might be having. I want to make note of this link right here, which has the history of the songs. So as a song leader, music leader, you'll be giving us the history of some of the songs before you have us sing those songs. We've got some exciting, really fun songs this next year, and the songs correlate a little bit more with the lessons than they have in the past. Our music leader has done a great job picking those out and providing the music CDs for you. I'm going to jump down here to lessons. And for our lesson leaders, or those of you who trade off and do lessons, we have the lessons here all listed. You can find the photos connected to the lessons on this page as well. And also the photos can be found under the Photos tab by going this direction. The photos this year will be put up and on the website all year. Last year, we had them up just the month prior to the lesson and the month the lessons were to be given. But this year, the photos will be up the whole time. Let's go to the parliamentarian quotes. And this is a PDF of the parliamentarian quotes. Our parliamentarian has selected quotes that correlate to the women's suffrage movement that we are celebrating this year. So I think you'll enjoy many of those quotes that she has selected. The parliamentarian, again, all under the leadership tab, or the chaplain thoughts, I said parliamentarian. Chaplain thoughts are found here, and our chaplain has chosen a number of thoughts. They don't necessarily correlate to each month, so you can look through those, and there's more than enough thoughts for the 9 camp meetings that you might have. So you can go through there and select quotes that you might want to give as part of your responsibilities as the chaplain. So I'm going to go back up here to the leadership tab. So there's a quick overview of those 4 areas that change every year. I am going to go to the camp officer information next. And some of you in the past have seen some of this information, but it's been a little bit hard to find. We have put all of the camp officer information and the company officer information under this leadership tab. And for those of you who are not familiar with these documents, I'm going to give you just a brief update and overview. If I'm a camp officer, or if I'm new to camps, you can find some great information right here about what's the purpose of a camp. We give you some ideas of what happens at the monthly meetings, a suggested sign-up sheet you can pass around at the beginning of each year, what positions we like to have in camps, what are necessary to have, what are nice to have, relationships of camps to companies. We talk about what a jubilee is, district convention, a lot of terms that get thrown at you when you're first in a camp or first joined DUP and you don't know quite what's going on. But that's under the camp responsibilities, and that was the purposes of camp. Under the company, we have the same type of documents, the purpose of companies. I'm going to show you a camp board planning guide, and this is a generic guide that can be used year to year. There aren't any dates that are really specific to a year, but it shows you that in October you need to look for, there will be some membership dues that you're going to need to get in. This next one-page document is a little bit more detailed. It talks about the reports that need to be filed, and usually our camp captains, company presidents, our treasurers, and our secretaries are the ones that are keeping their eyes on these reports and when they're due. So again, for example, in October, our membership dues come to the company, and then the company on October 30th needs to get those into ISDUP. So that is just a one-page reminder of the reports and the routing. If you click here, there's a great document on camp elections, and we've tried to put it into a flowchart format, sample, ballot, and instructions. And this same type of document is available on the company officer information. If I'm an officer in the camp or the company, I would go down here, and let's say I'm the historian. Click here, and it'll give you a little bit of an introduction, a summary of your duties that are in our Constitution and bylaws, and then just in a couple of bullet points, you're responsible for helping encourage writing of histories. You help with the submissions of the histories to the company. And then at the bottom of each of these officer pages, you'll see some of the forms and different information that you'll want to look out for. In some of the officer information, we've tried to put a flow chart so that you can kind of see how things go as far as some of the reports or in this example, how the histories come to ISDUP and what your responsibilities are. If I'm a chaplain, my responsibilities are only about a third of a page. You basically give a thought and then give a prayer. But these come in handy if you are talking to someone about being an officer. You can show them what the responsibilities are. They're useful for people who have been in DUP for a long time or a short time. In the treasure information, I want to mention that both in the company and the camp, it's important for our treasurers to read through the information here. There's some details about bank accounts, raffles. If you do own a museum, a lot of really great information, as well as a document on IRS. And these are particularly helpful or important if you are having large fundraisers or if you own, like I said, some of these satellite museums. So I just want to make sure that you are aware of the great detail that is in each of these pieces of information. Again, these mainly relate just to the treasurers in the companies and the camps. If you're a company president or a camp captain and you have some of these cabins or extra responsibilities, make sure you pay some special attention to those. We have camp membership dues instructions here, and the list goes on of the officers, so you can peruse that. Just encourage you to go in and click on these if you are interested in knowing what some of the offices are. If you just need to go in and find out what your office does, you just need to click on one of those. Back to the leadership tab. I've gone through the camp officer information. Our company officer information looks exactly like this, except it's for company officers. And you will find similar information for each of the offices within the company with specific duties and responsibilities for each of those people and what they need to do in order to fulfill their responsibilities. Under this tab, you'll also find the Constitution and Bylaws. There's a PDF document of our Constitution and Bylaws. And jumping down here, this Jubilee Pioneer Day celebration is a kind of a separate website that has some ideas of different activities that you all have done out in the camps and companies to celebrate Jubilee and Pioneer Days. There's photos and some fun things that have come to us. We haven't been able to print everything in Legacy, so there's been an effort to put these together to make it a nice resource for you. There's a list of companies and camps. It doesn't give too much detail about exactly where those camps and companies are, but it is a comprehensive list. So again, leadership tab, all that I need to know in order to be an officer in the camp and company. I'm going to jump over here to forms. And in the past, we had forms under a tab that was called membership, but we figured or felt like forms was more descriptive. So for district convention forms, those are forms that our company presidents, treasurers, and secretaries deal with. So I'm not going to talk too much about those, but you know where to find those. I'm going to jump to history forms. And if you are the historian, you'll be looking for some Pioneer, the request form or the title page as your members submit histories to us, and the submission log. Also, I wanted to mention that history forms are also located under the Histories tab. Going back to forms, we have a separate tab under forms called Membership Dues. And for our camp treasurers and company treasurers, this is especially important for you. The camp membership dues instructions have been updated, and we have added some information. And in fact, our camp secretaries might be involved in helping our treasurers update the membership reports that come to us. And we've provided some details if you have a member who's in a nursing home or has moved in with their daughter, or they've moved and you don't know exactly how to find them, we've got some information here, some more detailed information. Also, we've put together a nice flow chart with how membership dues come from camps to the company, just a summary sheet. So again, our camp and company treasurers need to know that there's some great resources in the membership dues under the forms tab. So I'm right here. There's a membership dues summary sheet that our camp treasurers will fill out. And then jumping down to here, our company treasurers will be wanting to know what's on this instruction sheet, and then the summary sheet as well. The associate roster, if you have associates in your camps, our camp treasurers and secretaries will be filling in the associate roster. Going back over to forms, I'm going to go to secretary forms. And in the secretary forms, you're aware of the record change form that we've had online for a couple of years that combines a number of different forms that come to ISDUP to change records, change names, transfer the deceased member form, all come on this one single form. And we appreciate you using new forms and encourage you to get rid of any old forms and go to the website when you need new forms, and you'll know that it's always the most current form. Our secretaries use attendance rolls, they use camp meeting forms. One thing I want to point out today is that we have changed the statistical report for camps. This is the statistical report that the camps have been filling out this last year, and will no longer require you to fill out a statistical report and have it filled out every month and have it come to us in January. So this will be going away. And the reason we've done that is that we feel like it'll be easier for our camp secretaries to just keep minutes on their minutes form. At the end of their minutes form, we have some information here to say how they can ask their members, how many lessons has anyone purchased? How many books have you purchased this month? Or who got a new certificate? How many were attending? Have you sent your histories onto the company? So you can see in this area, there's a place for you to keep notes as a camp secretary. And then when you get to the end of the year, you'll have minutes for each of the months that you've met. And then at the end of the year, rather than go into a complicated form, you will just fill out one form, and this is what it looks like. Compile all the data from your minutes forms, put the information here, and submit it to the company. We've shared this form with a number of camp secretaries and camp captains, and they're really excited about this new, less complicated form, and the idea that we do not need a semi-annual statistical report coming to the camp or to the company in January. This wasn't in the bylaws, and so we brainstormed some ways to make it easier on you. So take some time to look at the camp meeting minutes form, and then the camp annual statistical report that will be due to your company next year at this time. We think that'll be easier for all involved. And then this will be going off in a couple of weeks, but we've got both reports up here now because we're kind of changing years. For the company statistical report that is currently due this in June is still up. But moving forward, the company annual statistical report, we've changed some of the questions. We've eliminated a lot of the information that we've asked in the past. This information here will be a summary of your camps and your camp statistical reports. So you will take the camp statistical reports and aggregate the data and add those up and put it here. This information is information about your company, how many board meetings you held, how many camp sponsor visits you went to. Again, we've reduced the number of questions, we've increased the font. It may not look like it's reduced, but we have reduced the questions that have been asked. Also, our bylaws require the companies to send some information on their camp or their company officers, and we have that attached here. But we aren't asking you to send in every single officer as we have in the past. Some of you have gone to great lengths to give us all 10 or 12 offices. We only need 5 or 6. So we've kept in mind your plea to us to make things a little bit simpler. There are other forms here for the secretaries, and I think they're pretty much self-explanatory. Going over to our forms again, I'm going to click on Registrar. And our registrar at ISDUP has worked to update the membership application. The first and second page of the membership application are pretty much the same as it has been in the past. But I think for our registrars and for those of us who are trying to recruit our daughters and granddaughters and our neighbors to fill in an application, this application will be a simpler application for them to fill out. So even though you might not be a registrar, I want everyone to note that this third page where we had in the past an extensive pedigree chart is a very simple, straightforward chart where you fill in your father, your mother, your grandparents in these areas. And then if you have selected a great-great-grandmother, say it's your mother's father's line, if you've selected that line from which you are going to show that you have a ancestor who meets the criteria as a pioneer, you'll, so let's say his name is John Doe. And so you put John Doe here, and then you're going to trace your line from going from your grandfather's maternal line and just simply put the names here. We don't need dates. We don't need much more information, just a simple tracing of your relationship to that ancestor for which you're writing a history about and giving us information on a little bit more detail here about that ancestor whom you're showing membership through. So we're really excited about this new form. Also want to encourage you to look at the membership application instructions sheet. That's been updated, and make sure that people are using the application instruction sheet along with the application form. The application and dues for filling this, in order to become a member, it's $20. And it's important for you to remember that $5 of that is a processing fee. And then the other $15 pays for their membership for that year. So it's $20 total. And there's great detail in this document right here. Going back to forms, I'm going to click on to Treasurer Forms. And basically there's 3 reports here: Camp Annual Financial Review, Company Annual Financial Review. And you're familiar with these reports. These are reports of your annual financial, your bank accounts and signatures. The camp submits theirs to the company on an annual basis. The company also has a report that they complete, and this report comes to ISDUP, to our treasurer, each year. And this looks familiar to our company presidents and our treasurers, but we want to make sure that you remember to fill these out and get them to the proper places. Camp financial reviews go to the company, and the company comes to ISDUP. We've added a new financial report for those of you who have satellite museums, but this report is specifically for those of you who have satellite museums who have a bank account that is separate from your camp or company account. We've had a financial accounting come in with some of our district convention reports, but this is a new process, and we'll be getting some additional information out to you. This doesn't apply to many companies or camps, but just be aware that there is a new satellite museum annual financial review, and that's for you who have museums or collections or cemeteries. And again, I encourage you to make sure that you read in the leadership tab the information about the IRS and being a treasurer. Some great information for you there. Then under other forms, we have the camp sponsor evaluation report, some other resources here. We've moved the memorial donation form here. Some of these reports used to be under secretary, but a lot of people use these in addition to the secretary. So we've added those. The award pins and applications are found here, and then some instructions on filling out the PDFs. And basically in filling out the PDF, the fillable PDFs, the tip is when you fill it out, save it to your desktop or to your documents file, name it something different and save it, or else you'll lose the information. So we've covered forms, we've covered leadership, and I'm going to jump over here to the home page. You can take time on your own to peruse this, but we have the calendar, information on contacting us. We have updated all of the frequently asked questions, and some of this information might be helpful to you as you're trying to explain. For example, we have information on what is an associate, what's a member at large, information on recruiting members, what about bringing kids to the museum. So we've updated some information there to make you aware of that. Information on our legacy newsletter, and we encourage you to continue to submit information to Legacy, to our newsletter editor. Outreach. Our outreach program is where we're trying to tell our friends and neighbors, the public, our family, all about the Daughters Utah Pioneers. There's a 2-page handout here that gives you ideas of things that you can do to provide outreach, whether it's a booth at an event or just talking to your neighbor, doing some fun things with school-age children, etc. Also here is a document that we hope is useful in recruiting new members. We've heard from a number of camps and companies. One of our challenges is to recruit new members. And so we have a 2-page document of some ideas of how to recruit new members. And then the last page is an idea that you might want to use. It's called the Daughters Utah Pioneer Pass Along card, where you'd put information about when your camp meets and cut these up and then give them out to some of your friends and neighbors. So that's outreach. And again, we're still just on the home tab. And there's a link to join DUP. And this will probably be for more people just coming to our website and maybe they're curious about DUP and want to join. This research resources is a great tab for you to be aware of. We have listed a number of links to different organizations who have great resources when we're writing histories or trying to update histories or do all the things that we do in Daughters Utah Pioneers. We've updated this resource for you and encourage you to look at that. We have information about markers, days of 47 royalty going back 50 years or more. So again, home tab, we've moved some things over here. Under the museum tab, we've got school tours and information about our museum. We encourage you to visit our museum when times are a little bit better, when our museum is open. Satellite museums, so great information there. Under our histories tab, there's an overview of our history department and how to mail in requests. The Pioneer History Index is a great way to see if we do have a history on one of your pioneer ancestors. You can go and search there. I mentioned the forms before, other indexes to other publications. Then I wanted to make sure that you're aware of a resource here. It's under the Histories tab. And this is a 6-page document that we've put together using information that's been used in President's Packets in the past. And our historian has worked on this and several others in our group to give you some just easy tips about writing histories and what we encourage you to do, how you can do some research, and what questions you might want to be asking yourself if you are writing some histories to make them a little bit more interesting. And then from this document, you also can go and link to some of those resources that I was just showing you. So this is a 6-page document that some of you might want to download, print off, and have available for some of your daughters, some of your members in your camps and companies. So that's under histories, and it's history resources. So I wanted to make note of that. Photos, we encourage you to look and see if we have photos of your ancestors. There's information here about donating photos, where we have a wonderful selection and collection, I should say, of photos. And then our shop tab. Most of you are familiar with our shop tab and ordering, filling out the order form, or calling us and ordering things online. But all of our information, all of our books, our pins are found under the shop tab. One last thing that I want to make sure you are aware of is we send out a bulletin the first week of every month, and this comes out from our board to your company presidents, and it's called a bulletin. And we put the bulletin here. So for example, the June bulletin is here. We encourage your company presidents to send that along to your company officers and camp officers. But if you're interested in knowing some of the new announcements, we'd encourage you to go here and make sure that you can access that bulletin each year, each month. And like I said, it's usually sent out the first week of every month. Well, that pretty much ends our tour of our website and our training for this year. We wish we could meet with more of you face to face, but we hope that this provides you enough information for you to be able to access some of the new information and the new format on our website. We appreciate all that you do in Daughters Utah Pioneers, and we certainly wish you well this next year as you start your new camps and company, your meetings, and have a very, very, very good day. Thank you so much.